It's time for the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network. 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. The Checkered Flag is presented by Mahaska, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Sigourney Body Shop, Danny's Auto Supply, Quality Car Wash, Morton Buildings, Motor Inn Auto Group of Knoxville, Vanderlinden Detailing, Schroeder Alignment and Towing, Vital Ministries, RJ Performance, and Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. It's time for the Checkered Flag on your station for racing. 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com.
Welcome in, ladies and gents. We are live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. I'm Ray Songer, and I'm joined by Larry Naylor. Larry, as always, pleasure to be with you. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine. Glad to be here.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we have going tonight. Obviously, we're going to talk local racing, have a full show for you tonight, but most importantly, a lot of people, all of our drivers actually, that are here already for the show are eating their meal right now for the buffet. What's on the buffet tonight?
Oh, we got the usual chicken buffet and it's got even chicken fries on it, mashed potatoes, gravy, biscuits, the stuff that goes with chicken, a vegetable. I didn't look to see what.
Well, it's delicious to say the least. Of course, you can get the pizza as well. You come in, you pay for your you pay for your buffet, you get a drink, and you can choose your own pizza that will go on the buffet as well, including my favorite, the dessert pizza, cactus bread. What is your favorite that people should be lining up to try to either order or put themselves in a spot to where they get the buffet and be able to line up and grab some slices?
Well, you know, we've got for a month or two here a special, and then they'll change it. But not special price, but we kind of change one of them around, and that's a bacon cheeseburger fries, and they use ketchup as a base, and they put fries on top, and I like it, and most adults do. We thought the kids would like it, but
pretty much everybody likes it, it sounds like. So I saw that up there. It is an odd-looking pizza, so if you haven't, check that out and be sure to do so. Just remind everybody what the hours are for Pizza Ranch throughout the week so they can come and check out the buffet.
Yeah, the buffet hours are 8 to 7 during the week, 8 to 9 on the weekends. Might be a little bit off, but on the weekends now, Saturday and Sunday, we're leaving the buffet up all the way from 11 to 9 at night. Otherwise, it's 11 to 1:30 and 5 to 7:30. But the thing that people don't seem to realize is we got a kitchen back there and we got a full menu. So you can come any time between 11 and 8 or 9 and we'll cook it for you.
Doesn't matter whether or not you catch the buffet. Buffet, an amazing deal, all you can eat. But if you're really hankering something that you just want to have when you come in here to Pizza Ranch, even if it's between the buffet hours, you can still order that, of course, and Larry and the crew will make sure they're taken care of. Anything else you want to say before we move on to the show?
Not only that, but if two people come in and pay for a buffet, they eat all they want. But if they come in and pay for a pizza, which is less than two people buffet, they take some home, and we'll give them a box for that.
Absolutely. Larry knows how to work it. Come and ask him when you come into the Pizza Ranch. Larry, thanks so much for having us here at the Oski Pizza Ranch, and have yourself a great night.
Thank you.
All right, that's Larry Naylor. We'll take a break. We have a full show for you, but we're going to start with some recaps from area tracks. When we return right after this, it is the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
We love the quality, we love the construction. We're looking forward to working with Morton in the future.
They have this down to a science. They know exactly what you want. They know how to make it happen. It's an easy process.
I would definitely recommend Morton. From the first time I met the salesman to the last nail that the crew put in, it has been a positive and professional experience.
I'm so happy I found Morton because they just make the job so easy.
Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Celebrating 35 years in business, Rick and his crew at RJ Performance have kicked off a year-long sales event with a huge inventory of Polaris, Ranger, and ATV, Indian and Victory motorcycles, and the Hot Rod Autocycle Slingshot. We also carry the famous Yamaha line of ATV and off-road motorcycles, including the new retro street bikes. Tired of watching your friends have all the fun? RJ Performance also has a huge inventory of quality pre-owned UTV, ATV, and street bikes. Stop in today and get in on the fun, or visit us online at rjperformance.com.
Welcome back to the Checkered Flag here, live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. You're not going to miss the rest of our show. We have fantastic guests lined up. We'll be talking to Bill McCroskey, our sprint car correspondent, to start things off. We'll be followed by Gerald Kramer, who is the track director at Eddyville Raceway Park. Their big weekend of the year coming up this week, and we'll be talking about that later on in the show. Also have 3 local drivers that we'll be highlighting, talking about their careers and what they've been doing this season so far. That's all to come. But before we do any of that, let's go ahead and talk about what happened at local tracks this past week, and we'll start with Southern Iowa Speedway here in Oskaloosa.
Another beautiful night of racing action at the Southern Iowa Speedway for Yaw's Auto Salvage Night included 51 cars signed in to the pit area. The kids got to have some fun at intermission as they got to take a little field trip through the pit area to see the drivers and crews putting the finishing touches on the race cars for the features. Hobby Stocks still had the $300 bounty on the line if they can beat Shannon Anderson, thanks to Edel Lawn Service, Cindy Drost, and Independent Auto of Marshalltown. Trent Orwig was the only first-time winner by grabbing the IMCA Sport Compacts feature. Curtis Vanderwall in the Sport Mods, Caden Carter in the Stock Cars, Shannon Anderson in the Hobby Stocks, and Scott Dickey in the Modifieds were also victorious. The first feature of the night was the 12-lap Kelly-style State Farm IMCA Sport Compacts feature. Levi Heath and Nathan Moody led the field to the green flag, and it was Moody grabbing the top spot on lap 1. Moody saw Trent Orwig wrestle the lead away on lap 2. Orwig went on to take his first win of the season at the Half-Mile Monster. Moody finished second ahead of Austin Ruman, Brian Clausen, and Ashley Ruman. Austin Paul started on inside of row 2, but by the end of lap 1 in the Oskaloosa True Value IMCA Sport Mods 16-lap feature event, Paul was the leader. Paul slipped a bit, allowing Curtis Vanderwall, who started 5th, to take the top spot away on lap 3. Vanderwall began a pole until cautions came out on lap 6 for Tony Johnson in turn 2, and then again on lap 12 for Stephen Barry. Vanderwall was not going to let the cautions phase him as he headed on to take his 5th win at his hometown track. Paul held off Logan Anderson for 2nd, Jason McDaniel was 4th, and Blaine Webster was 5th. Budweiser IMCA Stock Cars' 16-lap feature event was next up on the speedway. Danny Thrasher and Derek Agee led the field to the green, and it was Agee wrestling the top spot away. Thrasher did not give up as he was able to grab the top spot away from Agee on lap 4. Thrasher started to look comfortable, but Caden Carter worked his way from the 5th place starting spot to 2nd. Carter grabbed the top spot from Thrasher on lap 8 and cruised on to take his 2nd win in the stock cars at Oski. Thrasher finished 2nd, Nathan Wood was 3rd, Dustin Griffiths passed Mike Hughes on the last lap to claim 4th with Hughes 5th. Bradley Graham took advantage of the pole position starting spot of the KBOE Radio Mahaska IMCA Hobby Stocks 15-lap feature by grabbing the early lead. Graham in the field saw the caution out just after lap 2 scored in the books when Dave Seddon spun, exiting turn 4, collecting Nick Hewlin and Matt Smith. Graham appeared that he was not going to let that bother him as he got a great restart, but so did 9th place starter Shannon Anderson, who was working his way through the field. Anderson grabbed the top spot away from Graham on lap 7. Anderson led the remaining laps, taking the win, keeping him perfect on the season, 7 for 7 in Oskaloosa. Anderson now has 21 wins on the year and 303 IMCA wins in his career. Graham settled for 2nd, veteran Bill Bonnet came home 3rd, Jamie Songer was 4th, and Steve Allen was 5th. The final feature of the night was the Musco Lighting IMCA Modified 16-lap feature event. Just like he did 1 week before, Scott Dickey led from start to finish. Dickey saw several challenges by Caden Carter early, but every attempt failed as Dickey went on to take his 2nd win of the season at Oski. Carter, Colt Mather, Jesse Dennis, and Zach Rollins finished 2nd through 5th. Next Wednesday night starts a busy 7 days at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Wednesday will be Community First Credit Union night at the races. IMCA Modifieds, IMCA Stock Cars, IMCA Sport Mods, IMCA Hobby Stocks, and IMCA Sport Compacts are all taking to the Monster Half Mile. Hot laps at 7 p.m. with the racing at 7:30 p.m. Then on Monday, July 3rd and Tuesday, July 4th, the Speedway hosts the 22nd Annual IMCA Budweiser Stock Car Shootout presented by Budweiser and Musco Lighting. Stock cars will have qualifying 2 sets of heat races on Monday night with the top 8 locked in on Tuesday. Tuesday night, the stock cars will have the heats, last chance races, and features for $2,500 to win. IMCA Modifieds, IMCA Sport Mods, and IMCA Hobby Stocks $1,000 to win, and the IMCA Sport Compacts $500 to win on Monday and Tuesday with a complete show each night. Hot laps will begin at 6 p.m. and racing at 6:30 p.m. For more information, you can check out OskiSpeedway.com or like Southern Iowa Speedway every Wednesday night on Facebook. It was a great day to be Danny Lasowski at Knoxville Raceway on Saturday. In the afternoon, he was inducted with 3 others into the Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame, and at night he led from green to checker to earn $5,000 in his 112th victory on Marion County Farm Bureau Midseason Championship night. Those joining Lasowski in the 2017 Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame class included official Craig Johnson, official Jim Roush, and owner and mechanic Jeff Woodruff. Clint Garner won his 3rd feature of the season and the 31st of his career in the 360 class. Cade Higday also won his 3rd main event of the season in the 305 class and the 5th in his career. Lasowski shot out to an early lead in a 25-lap feature on a track that would lay rubber early. Linton Jeffrey and Ian Madsen were in tow, with Brian Brown moving into 4th by the 3rd circuit. Rubber was apparent in turn 1 and turn 2 by lap 4. Madsen shot by Jeffrey into 2nd and pursued Lasowski. The leaders were in lapped traffic by lap 10. When Jeffrey slipped out of the turn 2 groove on lap 14, Brown pounced into 3rd. At that point, a blanket could be thrown over 4th, 5th, and 6th place cars of Jeffrey, Brooke Tatnell, and Austin McCarl. Tatnell was able to move into 4th by the time that the first caution of the race came out for Scott Bogucki, who blew his right rear tire. Jeffrey used the restart to retake 4th, and the race was slowed again when Carson McCarl, who was joining brother Austin and father Terry for his first 410 start at Knoxville, spun on lap 20. Lasowski pulled away on the last 5 laps to take the win ahead of Madsen, Brown, Tatnell, who reclaimed 4th on the final restart, and Jeffrey. Austin McCarl, Terry McCarl, Dakota Hendrickson, Tasker Phillips, and Josh Schneiderman completed the top 10. Tatnell sweat the quick time at just under 16 seconds and also won his heat, as did Brown and Hendrickson. The 360 feature was an action-packed 20-lapper that saw Matt Morrow take an early lead over Clayton Garner and John Agan. Garner worked by Agan for 2nd on lap 2 and then shot under Morrow to take the point heading into turn 1 on lap 3. Morrow would reel the leader in through the middle stages of the race as traffic thickened. On lap 14, Morrow worked by Garner to take the lead briefly on the backstretch. The 2 veterans touched wheels but continued on. By the time they reached the flag stand, Garner was back at the point. The top 5 were within 10 car lengths of each other as Garner and Morrow were joined by Ryan Giles, Agan, and Joe Beaver, who made a slide for life on Agan and tagged the wall on lap 16. Troy Manteful spun in turn 1, 16 laps in to bring the only caution of the race. Garner led Morrow, Giles, Agan, and Beaver back to green flag racing. Beaver would take over 4th, but Gardner would maintain his lead to the checkers ahead of Morrow, Giles, Beaver, and Agan. Jamie Ball, Chris Martin, hard charger Jason Martin, Cody Ledger, and Nate Van Hoften rounded out the top 10. Morrow set quick time over the 29-car field, while Ryan Roberts, Agan, and Giles won their heat races. Chris Morgan claimed the B main. Rookie Brandon Worthington was the early leader in the 17-lap 305 feature with Chris Walraven and Cade Higday in tow. Kelby Watt did a 360 spin while running 5th to bring out the first of 2 cautions. Watt recovered in 7th place, where he would restart. Higday used the cushion to shoot by Walraven for 2nd on the restart. Laps 10 through 12 would see side-by-side battle for the lead between Worthington and Higday. Higday would move by on lap 13 before the last slowdown came for a cone thrown on the track by Worthington, who cruised over a berm in turn 4. Higday would hold on to his lead the last 4 laps, while Ryan Levitt climbed from 4th to 2nd after the restart. Worthington was 3rd ahead of Corey Couts and Walraven. Watt, Mike Mayberry, Tyler Glass, Eric Bridger, and Brad Comagese rounded out the top 10. Higday also set quick time, while Joe Simbro and Levitt were heat winners. This Saturday night, July 1st, is Pizza Hut Knoxville Hospital and Clinics Night. All 3 sprint car classes will be in action, with the 360 class also hosting the Nebraska 360 Sprint Series and the Upper Midwest Sprint Series. For more information, visit KnoxvilleRaceway.com. Many thanks to KnoxvilleRaceway.com and Bill Wright for the story. Saturday was a busy day as part of a full race weekend at Eddyville Raceway Park. The results include in the street bike division, Brian Moody out of Cedar Rapids defeating Chase Van Zandt of Pella. In the modified, it was Quincy, Illinois' Racer Tooch defeating Jesse Pitts of Urbandale. In the junior advance, Independence, Missouri's Clayton McGinnis got a win over Gabriel Slifka of Roland. In the junior advance consolation, it was Brooke Barta of Sully beating Jamison Breeding of Carlisle. In the Super ET, it was Pella's Chase Van Zandt beating Murray's Cole Vogel. It was Chad Bacon of Fort Dodge winning in the top ET. He was just past Mark Hackett, who was finished 2nd. He's out of Quincy, Illinois, in top ET. In the street ET, it was Rick Pitzer of Glenwood beating Dean Cancelar of Eddyville. In the 470 index, Kirksville, Missouri's W.R. Buck beat Montezuma's Artie Craver. In the 550 index, it was Josh Cancelar of Mitchellville beating Melvin Poles of Malcolm. Also in the 600 index, it was Ricky Livingston Jr. out of Des Moines beating fellow Des Moines resident Bill Anderson. In the 650 index, it was Conroy's Steve Lohr beating J.D. Brown out of Centralia, Missouri. In the junior novice, it was Revere, Missouri's Avery Smith beating Cecilia Slivka of Roland. In the teen championship racing, Paige Teal got another win. She's out of Quincy, Illinois, with Dallas Gilchrist coming in second. He's from Oskaloosa. In the Powder Puff division, Grinnell's Stacy Poles beat Jill Schaefer of Pleasant Hill. And in the junior advance runoff, again, Clayton McGinnis picking up the win out of Independence, Missouri, defeating Sully's Brooke Barta. Again, this weekend, a big weekend of racing at the Eddyville Raceway Park. 21st Annual Musco Lighting Night of Fire coming up this weekend. Later on in the show, we'll be talking to Gerald Kramer, track director at Eddyville Raceway Park, to talk about what's going to be happening this weekend.
As you can see, as always, fantastic action going on at our three major tracks that we cover: Eddyville Raceway Park, Knoxville Raceway, and of course Southern Iowa Speedway. Next week we'll have still yet more action to give you here on the Checkered Flag, but the show's going to be a bit different. We'll get to that at the end of the show, but first we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to our guests of the evening. Our old friend Bill McCroskey, our sprint car correspondent, will be breaking down all the action that happened this week at the mid-season championships at Knoxville Raceway when we return right here on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
April at Motor and Auto Group in Knoxville means new deals on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles on the lot. A 2017 Dodge Journey SXT four-wheel drive is 23% off MSRP and saves you over $5,700. A 2017 Dodge Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab 4x4 is 20% off MSRP and saves you over $1,000 when you purchase. Or look good in a 2017 Dodge Charger SXT all-wheel drive, saving you over $6,900 with 20% off MSRP. The dealer that's easy to deal with and hard to beat. Motor and Auto Group in Knoxville.
At Pepsi, we think it's important to celebrate stuff in life.
Like when you text that really cute guy you met at a party on Friday, and he immediately texts you back. You celebrate with an ice-cold Pepsi.
Or your friend turns on the radio, and your absolute most favorite new song just happens to be playing. That calls for a Pepsi, too.
Because when you and your roommate order a pizza, and the delivery guy throws in extra breadsticks, no charge?
Break out the Pepsi.
It's the Checkered Flag here, live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Still got time to come down and enjoy a fantastic meal with the family. While you're doing that, you can hear about racing action, specifically sprint cars. Our old buddy, sprint car correspondent Bill McCroskey is here. Bill, how's it going?
Good, Emery. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. It's been a few weeks in a row here that we've had you on the show, and the reason I enjoy having you on is because we've had great action at Knoxville Raceway as usual. You were in fact telling me that there was a poll that you saw put on by the USA Today that they're trying to figure out what the greatest racing experience is, and Knoxville not doing too bad in that poll.
Yeah, Knox, it's, in fact, I don't want to screw it up. I'm going to read it. If you Google USA Today 10, the number 10, best race events, you can vote there. And Knoxville is in second place. The Italian Grand Prix, Daytona 500, I don't know. There's more than 10 events on there, but Knoxville's in second place for the Knoxville Nationals. So if your fans enjoy sprint cars or they're just racing people from Southern Iowa alone, it'd be awfully nice to get some votes out there for Knoxville. Maybe we can creep into first place or hold on to second.
Well, it sounds like they're going to do a nice feature on all of the top 10, but of course the higher you are on the list, the higher accolades, especially a rural Iowa event to pick up, spots over the Indianapolis 500 or the Daytona 500, race events like that. That's very cool. You saw the midseason championships this week. We saw the highlights just now. Yep. It was a fun night of racing once again. Pretty clean for the most part, but it wasn't necessarily what I would call the first time week that we dealt with last week. We saw some regulars picking up some wins, and this was a week that saw some shakeups in the standings in terms of kind of who was well positioned, because some guys who were running at the top two or so of their respective class maybe didn't finish too well in some of their races on Saturday.
Yeah, Danny Lasowski won the 410 event, his 112th career win at Knoxville, and ironically he was inducted into the Knoxville Hall of Fame that night, so you couldn't script that any better. And the two guys that are running 1 and 2 in the points, which would be Ian Madsen and Brian Brown, they finished second and third, and there's 30 points between Ian Madsen, who's leading the points, and Brian Brown, who's in second, finished third Saturday night. So Austin McCarl's about 300 points behind Madsen in third place in the points, and then Brooke Tatnell is fourth, and Terry McCarl, Austin's dad, is fifth. I would say it was mid-season championship. It's probably pretty well down to Brian Brown or Ian Madsen, and 30 points is nothing when you're talking 2,600 points total. In the 360s, Clint Gardner picked up the win Saturday night, as you showed earlier, and Matt Morrow was second. To him in points, there's about a 100-point spread there. So it's probably, Ryan Giles is in third, 150 points back. So it's probably between those three, and you've got Calvin Landis and young Jamie Ball, who the week before didn't go to the scales by accident. He thought he was sixth. The top five have to weigh. It cost him some points. He probably won't make that mistake again. If he's seventh, he's probably going to go to the scales. But our closest points race is in the 305 class. The top five in the 305s are separated by less than 90 points. And you got two rookies in there. So that 305 class is really heating up. It's going to be really good. Young Cade Higday won another main event Saturday night, and he's moved into the points lead over Chris Walraven. And then you've got Kevin Hedrick in third, and young Ryan Levitt in fifth. And so you've got, like I say, you'd have to say any of the top five in points probably definitely have a chance, because there's probably 6 or 7 races left, and just the way things shake down, how does it go, you know, that type of thing. So it looks like it's down to a 2-man race in the 410s, probably a 3-man race in the 360s, but you got a 5-man horse race in the 305 class, and that's good. You know, gives those guys some incentive, and it gets the crowd enthused and excited.
That means when you're talking about the top five, that gives you an awful lot of opportunities on any one race to try to get some separation. If one guy has a bad night, finishes, you know, outside the top 10, for instance, which would be kind of surprising at this point of the season, but something that could very well happen, that would definitely set that guy back, and he would need to run right near the top or at the top to be able to work his way back in. I asked you this question last week, but I'm very interested in this 305 race for the standings. When we talk about the points, we talk about the experience, we talk about some rookies being involved. Who do you give the slight edge to, and who do you think might be the first guy who falls out of that mix as the season kind of wears on? Because there's still, like you said, plenty of time for stuff to kind of still line itself up, and if you do have a bad race next week, you do have some time to be able to work your way back into it.
I wouldn't look for anybody to fall out, because all the top five in the 305s that are separated by, I think, 89 points, they've got good stuff, and they're not racing, you know, on a shoestring budget in relationship to some of the other 305s. So you can't really. I just don't see. Again, I'm going with Walraven just because he's, I think I said a couple weeks ago, age and treachery will always defeat youth and exuberance. And he'll probably end up running fifth after I said that. But Eric Bridger is another rookie. So you've got two rookies in that 305 class that are, you know, knocking on the door. And I just don't think being a rookie is going to hurt those guys. I think they can easily hold their own with any of them. It could come down to 5 points at the end of the year. I mean, just a heat race finish or one spot. I mean, those guys, all those 5 are fighting for every spot in every race right now, because they know it's real close.
I was watching a documentary about NASCAR, and they said the number one day to remember in NASCAR was the day Alan Kulwicki had won the points championship, and there were 4 or 5 drivers who were eligible to win that. Do you see this kind of making its way down to the last couple of races, to where, you know, last night of the season, there's a chance that any one of 4 or 5 of these guys with the right finish could end up winning a race and walking off the track as the champion in the 305s.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In that 305 class, any of those 5 could be your champion. In the 360 class, definitely, again, I give it to Clint Garner, just because I think he's a 7-time champion. He knows how to put points on the board. You know, maybe he'll take a 3rd place car and finish 3rd with it because he doesn't feel the pressure. He's been there, he's won before. Some of the other guys, they got a 3rd place car, they try to make it a 2nd place car, and you end up running 10th because you whack the wall or something. But and in the 410 class, I definitely think it's down to Brian Brown and Ian Madsen, and it's just going to be. Brian had his bad night the week before when his left rear wheel failed, and he lost a lot of points. He would probably be leading the points if that hadn't happened, but he's only 30 points out. If I was a betting man, I'd have to bet on Brian Brown in the 410 class.
Going to be exciting, Bill. Another fantastic job as well, and you're going to be sitting in for us this week, calling some stock car action at the Southern Iowa Speedway. We appreciate you for that. Thanks so much for everything that you do for us, and we'll definitely have you on next week for the Checkered Flag, which will be on Wednesday night, as we're going to work around the stock car challenge here in Southern Iowa Speedway. So thanks so much, as usual, for your insight. We'll be paying attention to those races for the standings points championships, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
And this Saturday night is Knoxville Pizza Hut night, along with Knoxville Hospital and Clinics, and my favorite doctor just happens to work out there, Dr. Shannon Remington. So I'm glad that that's kind of unusual to have a hospital sponsor a racing event, so I'm very proud that they've got them in there. And also Larry over here gave me my official Pizza Ranch hat for tonight to keep the glare out of my eyes. So I'll get out of here. And again, thanks again, Emery.
Hey, thanks, Bill. You're definitely a true man of true class, especially with those sprint cars, something that I am still trying to learn about. But of course, Bill knows everything. That's why we keep having him on the show to talk Knoxville Raceway. We're going to be talking Eddyville Raceway Park after the break, as Gerald Kramer, who is the track director at Eddyville Raceway Park, we're going to be talking about his big weekend coming up right after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Ottumwa's only locally owned auto parts store, Danny's Auto Supply, not only offers great prices on the quality parts and supplies you need for your vehicle, they also now offer complete car care. From brakes, oil changes to a major overhaul, Danny's Auto Supply has you covered from A to Z with parts and now a full-time automotive technician on staff. Danny's Auto Supply is located at 827 East Main in Ottumwa. See them for all your auto parts and vehicle needs. That's Danny's Auto Supply, Ottumwa's only locally owned auto parts store.
Spring is here, and so is racing season. Every race car driver knows how important it is to take care of their car. At Oskaloosa's Quality Car Wash, it's more than just a name. It's what they offer. The touchless car wash has no brushes and won't leave any scratches. There are 4 options to choose from, and all will leave your car looking spotless. Quality Car Wash is located at 1101 A Avenue West in Oskaloosa. Race in to Oskaloosa's Quality Car Wash today.
Back here on the Checkered Flag, live on the No Coast Network. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're watching us on KBOEradio.com, listening to us live on 104.9 FM KBOE. It's been a fun show so far, and we got plenty more to talk about. 4 more guests, including my next guest, the track director at Eddyville Raceway Park, Gerald Kramer. Mr. Kramer, thanks for joining us.
You bet, Emery. Thank you for inviting me again.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just talk about it. So far this season, it's been a fun one. I've gotten the results. Got a lot of regulars. You always have a lot of cars out there. How's the season gone for you so far? Weather's been pretty nice as well.
Pretty well. Last week was fabulous weather. We've had 2 major rainouts early in the season, but since then it's been great. And of course we need great weather this weekend because this is our big one.
You talk about the big one. You're wearing the shirt. We've been talking about it. You got the 21st annual Night of Fire, sponsored by Musco Lighting. I got all the information right here, but I'm going to let you do the talking because you got a 3 race night weekend coming up, and you want to talk about some excellent cars, some big time personalities in drag racing. This is definitely one for everyone to try to attend.
Yes, it is, and we're doing something different this year. For the first time ever on Friday night, we are actually running a pro show. These are Our nitro cars, we have 8 of those this year. We have 2 Top Fuel motorcycles and 2 jet dragsters. They will all be running on Friday night, which we've never done, in addition to all of our sportsman cars. We will have close to 300 sportsman cars on the grounds this week. So it's a huge event, full house, and lots of excitement, and these nitro cars are out of this world. So, and then on Saturday is the big one, and we have 2 shows with the pros at night. We're on track all day with sportsman cars, and then Sunday is a sportsman car only event, barring any bad weather. And the weather forecast looks great, so we hope they're right.
Yeah, and when you look at this, the times for this, you're going to have on Friday night the 9 p.m. start.
Yep.
6 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Saturday.
Yep.
And these are cars that, of course, you're going to see plenty of nice, fantastic cars on any given weekend at Eddyville Raceway Park. But these cars are here for very select weekends, and this is the one time you're going to see a lot of them in the same place.
Yes, these are nitro cars. Nitro cars put out huge header flames, especially after dark. They're just fabulous to watch after dark. Fast, loud. I mean, these cars, you guys understand, we're an 8th mile track, and they go from 0 to 200 plus miles an hour in less than 4 seconds. So it is ground pounding action, and it's exciting.
It sounds like it's going to be fantastic, but that's not it. You're going to have a special guest as well, and it's a guy that anybody who's done anything in drag racing, they'll know the name. How did you manage to hook this one up?
Well, Big Daddy Don Garlitz is going to be at our track this weekend. He'll be Friday night and Saturday. He's also going to be at the Good Guys show, actually in the Carl Performance booth on Friday, promoting our event too up there and working with Carl Performance, who's one of our major sponsors of the track and do a lot for us. So Big Daddy is the man in drag racing. #1 voted racer of all time in NHRA. He's done it all. He's in his mid-80s, but he's an extremely sharp guy. He has a drag racing museum down in Florida, and this is the second time we've had him here. We had him here 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember exactly. Obviously, these guys get paid to come, but he brings one of his old Top Fuel cars, and we'll usually start it at the event, what they call Cackle. He's just a super personality, and they just don't come any bigger or better than Big Daddy.
Yeah, we're going to be able to check him out, and kind of a godfather type figure in drag racing as well. So with all of that going on, not only that, but I hear there's going to be some explosives on the scene to entertain the masses as well.
Yeah, for Saturday night after the end of the racing, or at least the pros, we will have fireworks display also. And yeah, like I say, the nitro cars, we got 4 funny cars, 4 fuel altereds, one's from Texas, several of them are from the Chicago area, 2 of them are from Iowa, and it's going to be an incredible show.
All right, so with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk admission for people who are looking to try to get in on each and every day. Let's start with Friday, and what do people have to do to get into the gates?
Friday night for adults, and that's 13 and up, I believe it is $15. Saturday is $30. For the sportsman thing on Sunday is $12, or you can buy a weekend pass for $45 for adults. Kids are $5 on Friday, $10 on Saturday. Under 6 are free all weekend long. So great family entertainment. Our concession prices are fair. We have outside food vendors also in this week. It's a very different atmosphere. It's the big show, and for us, this is our biggest event of the year. And thanks to Musco Lighting too for being a sponsor for 21 years on this event. Fantastic company.
Okay, so lastly, the last thing I want to hit on, when we talk about the Night of Fire, this is 21 years.
Yep.
What is Gerald Kramer's #1 thing people need to look for this weekend, whether it's Big Daddy, whether it's the sportsman event on Sunday, whether it's, of course, the Top Fuel cars that you're going to be having? What is the one thing that you want to highlight for the people who just are looking for that one big feature that we can go one day? What do we need to look for?
Well, that's difficult because all the nitro cars, I grew up racing motorcycles, so I have a bias towards Top Fuel motorcycles, and The one bike that we got coming back, he was here last year. He set the track record at 3.92 seconds at 197 miles an hour. That's on a motorcycle and an 1/8 mile from a standing start. So that is just out of this world to me. And but a lot of people love the jet cars, and I understand that they're different. They're a show to themselves, and we've got some top-notch cars.
Gerald, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Absolutely.
Should be fantastic, and we'll have you on and talk about it later on this summer. We appreciate it, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
That is Gerald Kramer. He is the track director at Eddyville Raceway Park. Big weekend for them. You're not going to want to miss that if you like the drag strip or cars in general this weekend. We'll take a break. When we come back, we got a few local drivers we're going to hit on, and we're going to talk about their careers when we come back right after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Hi, we are Caleb and Carissa. And Kate. And our dad is Boomer. You know the guy that owns Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. If you're in need of truck or SUV accessories, come see our dad. He offers what you need to be riding in style. He'll make your truck cool, and he'll make you smile. Call 628-9350 or stop on the east side of Pella on Oskaloosa Street. Tell Dad the kids sent you.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is proud to announce our Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell exhibit in our museum this season from June 1st through October 1st. Stop in and view 6 of the sprint cars that Sammy has driven during his illustrious sprint car career, and our exclusive Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell t-shirts and posters to match Sammy's race cars on display will be available inside our museum store. That's the Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell exhibit beginning June 1st and running through October 1st, only at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Back on the Checkered Flag here on the No Coast Network. Our first guest from our local racers this evening is Christian Huffman. Christian, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Emery. Appreciate it.
First things first, we just talked to Gerald Kramer, and from what I've read from the information I was given, drag racing is something that you enjoy as well. That seems to be something that kind of helped you get started. Take me through your career, how you got started in racing.
Yeah, started in the high school class at Eddyville when I was 16. It was a great way to learn, just the ins and outs of racing a car. Nothing that really applies to the hobby stock ranks so much setup-wise, but certainly just the mechanical aspects certainly gave a good foundation. Drag raced for about 6 years on and off there, and took a couple of years off and running hobby stock now. So.
Yeah, the hobby stock is something that I find very interesting because the difference between hobby stock and stock, even though the names are really close, there is a big difference there. Mm-hmm. What led you to the hobby stock to decide to go in a circle instead of trying to go as fast as you can down an 1/8 of a mile?
Oh, just looking for a change of scenery, I guess. My wife and I were trying to decide what kind of racing we wanted to get into again when we got married, and like probably a lot of people, I had made the wrong assumption sitting in the stands that, oh, that looks easy, we can do that, but learned quickly that it's not the case. But it's a fun challenge. It's a little different format than drag racing. It's kind of a night show. You don't necessarily spend all day at the track, so just the timing and everything works out well, and it's a nice change of pace, but a lot of fun. Both sides.
So you talk about driving in a circle and the difference there, a lot of tight racing that you're going to have to deal with that you don't have to deal with when you're on the drag strip. Yeah. So let's just talk about who has helped you get to this point, whether it be sponsors, people in the pits, family members. Who are some people that you'd like to give recognition to for helping you get going, whether it's in drag racing or in the hobby stock?
Yeah, on the drag racing side of things, a good friend, Derek Hawk, helped me there a lot. And he continues to help me on the hobby stock. Jay Kime also is a great help, but I got to thank my wife most of all. She supports me. Well, it's not necessarily always working on the car, but it's all the other stuff that gets done around the house that I can't do because if we're going to do this racing thing, we gotta work on both ends of the spectrum there. The house stuff has to get done too. So, but yeah, from there we got some great folks that help us, product-wise, and also, a little bit of monetary help, and probably most of all just advice, support. Trick Tools out of Pella, Midtown Tire also out of Pella, Quick Performance out of Ames, Morris Motors in New Sharon, Sharkey Frame out of Ottumwa, Vans Racing here in Oskaloosa, Dynamic Drivelines out of Des Moines, Co-Line Graphics out of Searsboro, G-Bass Power Glides out of Des Moines, and Mid-State Machine builds a great power plant for us. So.
All right, so that's quite the list there. Fantastic stuff so far this season. How have things been going? Kind of how you like the car to be driving? Where do you like the car on the track, and what kind of setup do you kind of tend to, whether it be a loose or a tight car?
Oh, I guess in general, I'd probably prefer a car a little on the tighter side. It's probably as much inexperience preferring that as anything, but that's kind of where I prefer to set the car up if possible. As far as where I like to run on the track, I really try to just adjust to the track conditions best I can. I don't like to go out with the mindset of I'm going to run here, I'm going to run there, because I usually guess wrong. So, so just try to set the car up the best we can and play the cards we're dealt. So that's kind of how we try to approach every night. So.
All right. So how's the season gone so far, and what are you looking forward to the rest of the way?
Yeah, season's been decent. We're good at the start of the night. Won a few heat races. Just trying to get it put together for the feature. That's been the biggest struggle. When the track slicks off a little bit, we're making ground, but had a few bits of bad luck here and there. But I believe you make your own luck. So we'll keep digging and hope for the best the rest of the season.
It's been fun talking to you, Christian. One thing that I like to do is. I'd love to catch back up with everybody we talked to this season, kind of see how things are going by the end of the season. But congratulations on all you've been able to accomplish, and perfect segue. Thanks for setting me up with a great drag racing segue after we talked to Gerald there. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thanks, Emery.
That is Christian Huffman here on the Checkered Flag. We'll be back with Aaron Bridgman. We'll talk his story and everything racing on his side of things when we return on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Sigourney Body Shop is the intelligent choice. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that great service and reasonable prices are the reason Sigourney Body Shop is the #1 body shop in the Sigourney area. They do auto and truck collision repairs, glass replacement, body and paint work, free at-home estimates, are complete service specialists, and they offer pickup and delivery and a loaner car. Sigourney Body Shop at 210 Clark Street in Sigourney, or call 641-622-2022.
Hi, I'm fake Sarah McLaughlin. When was the last time you really gave your car some love? Has your car been the victim of neglect over the winter? Does it have old French fries in places that no one should ever have old French fries? Then wait no further. Pick up the phone and give Jeff at Vanderlinden Detailing a call right now. Give your vehicle the love it deserves, a full inside and detail. Make a difference today. Call Jeff at 641-780-0119 or follow Vanderlinden Detailing on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Checkered Flag, where we continue to roll on here. Aaron Bridgman, my next guest, is out of Bloomfield, and he's in a sport mod. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Emery.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk what you've been doing. Sport mod, that's obviously a different class, a class that is very unique to say the least. How did you get involved in racing? What has been kind of your career arc to this point, and how did you end up in a sport mod?
Well, when I started out, we was in a 4-cylinder. Did that for about 2 years. Got one feature win doing that, and then we decided that I raced with a lot of guys that are in the sport mod class, so I was like, that'd be the place to go instead of going to the hobby stock or a stock car, because they had the setup feature-wise. So we moved to that. Casey Lancaster and Curtis Vanderwall, they gave me about as much information as you could ask for. It's a huge learning curve going from a front-wheel drive 4-cylinder to a V8 that designed to turn the rear end. So
that's how we got here to this point. You talk about Curtis Vanderwall. There's some really good competition that you have to race on a race-to-race basis, whether it be Bloomfield or Eldon, or even when you make your appearances at Southern Iowa Speedway. Of the 3 tracks, I know they're kind of a little bit of a circuit for a lot of the guys that they like to run. Which of those tracks is the one that you find the most successful for you, or the one that you like to race on the best?
Well, I would have to say the Bloomfield Speedway. The Mountain Dew Bloomfield Speedway is probably my favorite, and that's just because when I was a kid, always going to the track and seeing all those great drivers, Sonny Smizer and them guys going around that track, and we always had the best luck there. But last year we had the worst luck there. Couldn't get in a complete race, and we ended up having 3 races, being in the guard, having to miss some of the races. We ended up, I think, 10th in points overall last year in the sport mod, my second year in it. So.
All right, so still you got plenty of room to grow. You know that. Take me through kind of like what your setup would like to be. What kind of car do you like to drive? And we're out on the track if you had a preference, especially at these tracks that you run more frequently, like Eldon and Bloomfield, where you like to run if you're running good and the car's feeling good.
Well, the guy that helps me, Nathan, he would tell me that, you know, you need to get off the bottom. I always find moisture on the bottom. It's kind of like to drive a little bit tighter car, but it seems like every time I go in the pits, I'm like, it's too tight, we need to loosen it up. So we usually set it up tight, then by the end of the night, we're driving it loose. But I always prefer a dry slick track because it makes it a racer's track versus horsepower. So then, you know, throughout the night, you just kind of pick your groove. If it's not working on top, you try to find somewhere in the middle or on the bottom. You know, if the car's in the way or you're the one in the way, you just try to get around that track so as fast as you can and try to stay with everybody, and you know, you learn as you go. So like I said, it's a huge learning curve.
Yeah, the learning curve continues. You can't do this alone. There's not a single guy who's ever been able to be a single man crew and driver and sponsor to help fund his own vehicle in any form of racing. So who are some people, whether it's being in the pits or whether it's sponsors, whether it's people that have just kind of given you a little bit of help along the way that you'd like to mention here while you're on the show?
Well, I can't thank Nathan Bearden enough. He does my engines for me. And I got Casey Lancaster at Troy Archer Racing. Casey married my cousin, so kind of got into it with him, and he's been, you know, hey, you need to scale it this way, set it up this way, and then of course, have any other questions, I call Curtis on the phone, and hey, you know, this is what it's doing, what can I do? And they'll never give you the exact answer because that's not how you learn. So they'll set you in the right direction, and it's kind of trial and error. Davis County Lanes in Bloomfield, they've always been with me since the beginning. Took a shot on a kid that, you know, started in the 4-cylinder class, and it's not a lot of money, it's not a lot of publicity, but been with me since the beginning, so I always give them a piece of my car when I'm done at the end of the year, whether it be a hood or a sail panel or something to hang up in the bowling alley. Let's see, who else we got? My dad. Anytime we break during the weekend and I got to work during the week, and hey, can you run up to Carl Performance up in Des Moines, or you know, McDaniel Racing and over in Eldon and pick something up for me? And yeah, sure, never a doubt. My wife and my 4 daughters. If it wasn't for them, wouldn't be doing it because they pick the theme out every year on the race car. I think we started off with Scooby-Doo one year and Minions and let's see, Looney Tunes and Monsters Inc. And I think, let's see, what was it this year? I can't even tell you. I don't even know what.
Haven't tore it apart yet.
No, you know, usually it's you rip a door off and bang it back straight. It's like, oh yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
But yeah, without them, you know, and without them, you know, being there and supporting you with it, you know, I wouldn't do it. So it's nice to go to the track and have them with you. So.
Okay, so how's the season gone so far? You don't hit Oskaloosa super frequently, but Eldon and Bloomfield in your backyard, places that you can go and have a chance to race on a regular basis. How's the season been for you so far?
Well, we did a lot of updates this year. So it was a trial and error at the beginning of the year. It was really, really slow. Couldn't get any speed or grip coming out of the corners. So the beginning of the year was kind of bad. This last race we did down in Eldon, had a decent car, moved up a few spots in the feature, and ended up getting in a wreck and having to go to the frame shop. So got it straightened out, and we're going to go racing again on the 8th of July down in Bloomfield for the fair races.
All right, so with that being said, what's your outlook on the rest of this year as you try to continue to improve, still being very young and experienced when you talk about the sport mod racing?
Well, you know, setup-wise, trying to get the feel for the track, trying to get feel for the car. It seems like the looser you get, the faster you get. You know, trying to understand that feeling of too loose, too tight, and trying to get into that and get on the track. And it's just about seat time. The more seat time you can get, the more questions you can ask, and experience is everything.
All right, well, we'll see how that goes. Again, it'd be awesome to catch back up with you as the season winds down or even early next year, see how things are going. But Aaron Bridgman, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, Emery.
That is Aaron Bridgman. He is a driver in the Sport Mod division. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, Carter Vandenberg will be joining us. He's our final guest of the evening right here on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
This is Mike Serig with Vital Ministries, and we are looking forward to this new race season right here in Oskaloosa. We have many options for you race fans to get plugged in on a weekly basis throughout the season. We have a radio broadcast every Sunday morning at 8:30 on KBOE 104.9 FM, and we also send out daily inspirations for both men and women on our vitalministries.org webpage 6 days a week. So don't just sit there and let the summer speed by. Come join us throughout the race season.
Call Terry Schroeder Alignment and Towing in Sigourney for your alignment and towing needs at 622-2269 or 641-660-5515. They feature 24-hour towing. You can trust Schroeder's experience with your towing needs. DOT license and insured. All insurance companies welcomed. For alignment, Terry Schroeder uses the Hunter Alignment System to get your vehicle back on the road in no time. Terry Schroeder Alignment and Towing, 413 West Clark in Sigourney.
Welcome back. My final guest of the evening here on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network is Carter Vandenberg, another Sport Mod driver. Carter, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just start from the beginning. How did you get into racing? You're from right here in Oskaloosa. How did you get into racing? What are kind of the things that kind of sparked your interest in? What has been your career from then to this point?
When I grew up, my dad raced for a living, so I was just born into it. My grandpa and both my cousins and basically everybody in my family races, so I really didn't have a choice. I was racing from when I was born.
So when you say that, what were the first things that you were able to get into and actually get out on a track and start running? We had a young man in here last week who started racing go-karts at age 3. Well, what was your kind of situation as you were kind of, before you could actually drive real cars, before you got up into the Sport Mod?
I started racing four-wheelers when I was about 5. I raced that for a while, and then I moved up to go-karts when I was about 12 and started racing Sport Mods when I was about 16, 17 years old.
All right, so Sport Mod's something that you were able to grasp onto quickly. Is that just the natural for what your family kind of likes to run, the natural choice, or was that a car that you just kind of liked what it looked like, what it felt like, and you wanted to get into that one?
Yeah, I had my dad and my grandpa are really smart with setting them up and everything, and I gotten really good equipment and just made the most of my opportunities.
Well, the IMCA Super Nationals, you were able to have a very successful run there a few years ago, so you've seen a lot of success even though you're still a very young driver. What has been kind of the learning curve for you, and how much of your previous experience before you got into the Sport Mod that you were able to carry over to kind of be successful as fast as you were?
A lot, because we race go-karts all over the Midwest almost every weekend. I didn't play much sports in high school. We just raced all the time, and that helped move on to bigger things.
All right, so with that being the case, you moved to the modified division a couple of years ago, and you also found some success there. What was the difference between the Sport Mod and the modified from the setup into what you felt on the track?
Yeah, Jake Murray gave me an opportunity to race for a year in A-Mod, and we did that, and we won, I think, about 5 features on my own. That was the first year racing on my own. I paid for everything and had some good sponsors behind me, but yeah, it was a fun year in 2015.
What was the difference in terms of the work that you had to put on the car? Was there much in the setup that you had to kind of adjust to?
Yeah, when you race A-Mods, you're racing with a lot of guys that race for a living, and that's all they do. So if you were a little bit off, you definitely weren't going to get a top 5. And the setup-wise, it's a little bit different. But I just say the overall drivers, it's really tough competition.
Yeah, the competition's fantastic around here. Well, what kind of tracks do you like to run? What might be your favorite track that you like to run with the Sport Mod?
I don't know. I'm into like quarter miles or small, tight 3/8 high bank tracks, where you really have to get up on the wheel and race. That's my type, like Benton or Marshalltown or Boone. I really like going there.
All right, so being able to race as much as you do, you obviously have a lot of people that have helped you. Take us through some of the people, whether it be family members, people who got you started, some sponsors, pit crew members that have really helped you be able to enjoy the success that you've had behind the wheel.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Ty Lube Oils, Dynamic Drive Lines, Chris Burke and Rooster Graphics, Tenhagen Excavating, Lynch Farms, A2Z Designs, Benz and Stevens, Jessica Vandenberg, Brian Thomas from Pioneer, QuickTime Performance, my grandma and grandpa Vandenberg, Bodies by Dub, Larkin Farms, Terry Richardson, Lucas and Teresa Akers, Nate and Lisa, and then I'd like to thank we just got married here recently, Mackenzie, my mom, JR, Dad, Heather, Jory, Jarrett, Carrick, Ryan, Blaine, and Mason, Cole, and Colin.
My goodness,
Yeah,
that's quite the list. Congratulations on the recent marriage as well. How's that dynamic kind of been as you continue to race? This is something that takes a lot of time, not even when you're talking about being on the track, just working on the car, making sure things are good. You know, it's not easy to try to delegate your time on a week-to-week basis and get a lot done outside of working on the car. So kind of what's that dynamic been off the track?
Yeah, fortunately, she really likes it, and actually our first kind of time she went to the race, I ended up winning, so it was just true love, I guess, or something.
Love at first sight in victory lane with the checkered flag behind you. Last question for you, Carter. One of the things that I like to talk about, guys, is kind of the way they like the car set up, and having raced so many different vehicles, you might have a completely different idea of what a sport mod needs to feel like out on the track than some other guys. What kind of car do you like to drive, and kind of where do you like to drive it?
I always like running on the high side, you know. Always like it a little bit tighter car. I don't know, as long as it's fast and I can go, I guess I don't really care as long as I'm going forward.
How's this season gone so far?
It's definitely been one of our best years that we've had. We're getting a lot of top fives, and last week we just won again a big race at Columbus Junction, and we hope to carry it on next Monday and Tuesday at Oski.
Yeah, that's going to be a big couple of nights. We'll talk about that after the break as well. But Carter Vandenberg, thanks so much for joining us. Congrats on a heck of a start to your race career, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you.
That is Carter Vandenberg here, my final guest, racing a sport mod in the IMCA's. We'll take one more break, come back, wrap things up, let you know what racing's coming up when we return right here on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Celebrating 35 years in business, Rick and his crew at RJ Performance have kicked off a year-long sales event with a huge inventory of Polaris, Ranger, and ATV, Indian and Victory motorcycles, and the Hot Rod Autocycle Slingshot. We also carry the famous Yamaha line of ATV and off-road motorcycles, including the new retro street bikes. Tired of watching your friends have all the fun? RJ Performance also has a huge inventory of quality pre-owned UTV, ATV, and street bikes. Stop in today and get in on the fun, or visit us online at rjperformance.com.
We love the quality, we love the construction. We're looking forward to working with Morton in the future.
They have this down to a science. They know exactly what you want. They know how to make it happen. It's an easy process.
I would definitely recommend Morton. From the first time I met the salesman to the last nail that the crew put in, it has been a positive and professional experience.
I'm so happy I found Morton because they just make the job so easy.
Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Back one final time here on the Checkered Flag. Thanks so much for joining us. I'd like to thank all of my guests. What a fantastic show we had. Let's talk about what racing is coming up this week, tomorrow night, live from Southern Iowa Speedway in Oskaloosa. We'll have the Southern Iowa Speedway pre-race show for you starting at 6 p.m. to 6:30. Bill McCroskey's sitting in for Jeremy Fox this week, and you'll be able to hear all things with the drivers getting prepped for a big night of racing. The racing coverage lap by lap, turn by turn on 104.9 FM KBOE, KBOEradio.com, and the KBOE mobile app starting around 7:15 tomorrow night. When we look at the weekend, it is going to be Knoxville Raceway. Of course, they're going to have their normal Saturday night worth of action. The hot lap starting around 6:45, and the racing will start shortly thereafter as the 305s, the 360s, the 410s will all be in action, as well as we continue to heat up those points races in each of those three classes. And then the big one this week, Eddyville Raceway Park. You're not going to want to miss it. The 21st Annual Night of Fire, a Nitro Challenge sponsored by Musco Lighting. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All sorts of fun events. Plenty of cars will be there. And when you talk to Gerald Kramer, he had all of that lined out. You can check it out on their website, Eddyville Raceway, and you're not going to want to miss that this weekend if you like, especially drag racing. Anywhere, if you're within earshot, this is the place to be this coming weekend. So that'll do it for us. For our director, Miranda Keeler, for Titus Letzering back in the No Coast Network studios, this is Emery Sonker signing off. You've been watching and listening to the Checkered Flag right here on the No Coast Network.
This has been the Checkered Flag on your station for racing. 104.9 FM KBOE
Another
and
beautiful
all
night
over
of
the world at KBOEradio.com. The Checkered Flag has been presented by Mahaska, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Sigourney Body Shop, Danny's Auto Supply, Quality Car Wash, Morton Buildings, Motor Inn Auto Group of Knoxville, Vanderlinden Detailing, Schroeder Alignment and Towing, Vital Ministries, RJ Performance, and Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. This has been the Checkered Flag on 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. This has been a production of No Coast Network. This has been the Checkered Flag on your